this. Okay, we're recording. Hello, Taylor County. I'm Alex Renneman with Unleashed Tigert, and I'm here with a bevy of folks that are bringing some information to us, to you, the voters, about the levies that are up on this election cycle. So I want to thank each one of them for joining us. We have Boyd Van Horn, who's administrator of the Grafton Taylor Health Department, and Elisa Stewart, who's the executive director of the Taylor County Senior Citizen, and John Snyder, who's director of the Taylor County Emergency Squad. Everyone, thank you for coming on the program and offering your assistance to help us guide through what these levies do and how they work in these organizations in our county.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. I want to start with this forum obviously isn't a debate. These levies aren't zero-sum games. As a county, we've passed these multiple years all together. So this isn't a either or, but I wanted to get everybody on together to share with you, the voter, some of this information so you could kind of understand what these organizations do. So let's just start right off. And you can't ignore what in 2020, right? COVID-19. I would like to ask you all what maybe a service or an offering that potentially was either less known or maybe you didn't even offer before COVID, that COVID came in and created the need or accelerated the need or accentuated the need that your organization has filled during this time.
Well, for the Taylor County Senior Center, we now have a grab and go at the noontime meal. Instead of having them coming in because we are shut down, we have a grab and go where they can show up at the front door. We hand them a meal and they're off and gone, taking it back home with them. That was something new for us.
Perfect.
Well, I'll speak up for the health department, Alex. One of the things that we're known for recently is contact tracing and reportable disease investigation. Although that's always one of our core services, it's just the one that comes up on top of the list lately. I'm sure that everyone is familiar with the work that we're doing around contact tracing and disease investigation. In fact, my background there on the screen, because you really wouldn't want to see my office right now, is a photograph of our test site that we're operating locally at the Baptist Church. That's one of the things that has come to pass that we didn't do before COVID. Our services were offered here in the health department, but now we've gone mobile. We'll bring our services out to the public and deliver them in a way that they can just drive through, make it easy and convenient. And currently we're doing that for COVID testing and flu vaccinations.
Great.
Alex, I can't really say that we've changed anything as far as the services we provide, but we've certainly had to take more precautions when providing the services that we already do.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, John, let's start there. Help us understand. I know it might be a no-brainer to think what some of these organizations do, but I think it's worthwhile. What does your organization do, and what does this levy fund that's up on the ballot this term?
Well, let's start off with what the organization does. The Taylor County Emergency Squad answers emergency calls for someone that's sick or injured from the Harrison Taylor 911 Center. And so if there's a vehicle accident or there's a fall or anything else that happens in that fashion, then we go and make transports to the nearest local facility or the nearest appropriate local facility. In addition to that, we do transports when necessary from our local nursing homes to doctor's appointments or the hospital or another facility if they need to go there. And to a lesser degree, we do, you have a doctor's appointment and you need transported somewhere for special care. We also do a fair amount of transfers from, let's say, Grafton City Hospital to Mon or to Ruby, where Grafton has someone that needs upgraded to a different facility. Those are the things that we do on a regular daily basis.
Makes sense. Boyd, Elisa, you want to share something about what your organization does and what this levy might fund?
Well, our goal is to help maintain and improve the quality of life of the aged and disabled in our county while keeping them in their homes longer and keeping them out of the nursing homes. We want to help our seniors by providing the services that we do now. Plus, we would like to expand our services to cover the increased needs of the senior population because it's continuing to grow. Over the last 5 years, it has practically doubled in size. So we plan to keep our seniors in their homes and maintain.
Makes sense.
Alex, for the health department, we're doing all the things that we normally do, just some of it a whole lot more. But one thing that I do want to interject here for the people of Taylor County, all the services that you see on your screen right now, we have learned and begun to work together in ways that were really not imagined before COVID. I can think about the senior center with Elise and John with the emergency services. We've all figuratively been holding hands as we go through this on how we can help each other. And it's just really been a terrific response in Taylor County. And these are the things that the levies provide. It's not just a whole bunch of separate entities all living in our own world, if you will. We're really working together for the good of the people in Taylor County. And we couldn't do it if we didn't do it together.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Boyd. You look on the national scene and how much division there is. It's worth spending some time here on the local level to see how much cooperation is really going on about getting the outcomes we need as a community. And I would add, there's a fourth organization that was unable or may be attending at some point in this. We were scheduled for that, but it's the Taylor County Library as well. And that's another great organization in our community. And so if they pop on, we'll ask them a couple questions as well. But it's a great point. I mean, I've seen it. There's a lot of work going on in concert between these organizations and others within the community. And I for one, being a community member, is grateful for that. So thank you all to that. So levies can be a little confusing to the voter, based on what class property they're in and all this stuff. Does anyone want to offer just kind of maybe a primer on that, or just some understanding so voters can realize, okay, so if we pass this levy, what happens to my taxes if I'm a property owner or whatnot? Could somebody offer some insight there?
Well, for the senior center levy, ours is as a continuation at the current level that we have now, which is the 43 cents on the class 1 property, 86 cents on the class 3, and $1.72 on the class 4. And that's on the $100 valuation. So it's not an increase. We're keeping it the same as we've had it for probably the last 20 years. We have never asked for an increase from the senior center, and we're only going to do it for a 3-year period.
I'll speak up at that point. I'm glad Elise mentioned that ours is a continuation levy as well. And there'll be no increases for any of the people in Taylor County. It's going to remain exactly the same. One thing that the health department did, though, that may be a little different than the senior center, Elise, is we ran our levy for a period of time of 4 years. And the reason that we did that is we wanted the elections to fall on a normal election year. Mm-hmm. And that circles around to our goal and desire to have complete transparency for the people of Taylor County. You'll note that these levies are running in a general election. They're not running on a cold, snowy Saturday. We want the people to come out and have full knowledge of what we're doing. We exist to serve the people of Taylor County, and we want them to be fully engaged and aware of what we're doing.
Yeah, it's a good
point. I might jump in there as well. The Taylor County EMS, just to add, we're also a continuation of the same levy, and primarily to the voters of Taylor County and to the property owners of Taylor County, this isn't going to change a thing from what has been being levied against their taxes. None of these have been an increase. And I believe the library is the same way, but
I think it is. Yep.
just to speak for them.
Yep, that's a great point. And so, if you're a property owner, it's not going to raise any taxes. And if you have more questions about this, you can certainly contact the organizations or the county clerk's office or the tax office. I'm not sure where to send folks, but if you're really interested in exactly what this does, or what if it would fail, what that would do to your taxes. But if these all pass, it does nothing to your tax base. It's still the same thing. So great points. So we talked a little bit about new services that may have, or things that have been found with COVID. Can anyone share maybe, just the amount of demands? I know maybe Boyd, we can start with you from a health department perspective. COVID came on the scene and you guys were thrust into the middle of we've all been in that situation, but really into the public eye and into the public interest of how we're going to handle this pandemic. Can you share with us just some of those added demands and how you've had to change your organization to fit the demand that COVID has brought out?
Sure, Alex. That gives me a segue probably to talk a little bit about the culture of the people in Taylor County and how that relates and connects over to the health department. We first stood up our flu response task force in February. We began preparation for what we saw coming in February, and by March 20th, we had set up and began COVID testing on a daily basis, drive-through testing, and we've continued that until the present, daily testing. As we proceed through this, we still have all the normal, usual responsibilities that we have to perform in addition to the COVID response, such as safe food, clean air, clean water, environmental services, septic systems, inspection of in the summertime swimming pools and different community related things. So we have all those things to do. But when I spoke about the culture, what I mean by that is the people in Taylor County are very close-knit people. Most folks know one another. They've been neighbors and friends and family their entire lives, and they bond together. We bond together with them. And the culture kind of produces an atmosphere of moving forward and making progress. And one of the things that my terminology is, and I hope I don't offend the driver's license people, but I don't want our health department to become a DMV type health department where we just tend to the people that walk through the door, and at 4 o'clock we go home and say we did a great job. We want to be very proactive and engage with the community and the neighborhoods and the people in Taylor County, because I think they want to engage, and they've shown that over our response in this COVID. We've had volunteer people come and work. The Rotary Club has stepped up in a big way. Retired nurses and other medical staff have stepped up. So we want to lead the way with our health department, because that's I think the tradition in Taylor County is to step up and be leaders, and we want to be a part of that. And so far, we think that we are.
With the Senior Center, we offer approximately 12 different programs to seniors 60 plus or disabled. With those programs, we have the in-home direct care workers that go out every day since COVID. Before COVID, they still are providing those services for our seniors and the disabled in our county. We have downsized a little bit in our home delivery program. Since we're not able to open the Flemington site or the nutrition site at the towers, we are delivering meals. We have so far delivered, since COVID started on March 17th, 20,895 meals. So COVID has changed a lot of things, but we still have our in-home services with our direct care workers going into the homes, providing the dressing, bathing, grooming, light meal preps for our seniors in the county.
Right.
From the EMS standpoint, the changes that I can see that come as a result of COVID are really gloves and suits and cleaning. I'm sure that the other two departments that are on here are the same. But for example, the decontamination processes that we've uh, have to go through at a more stringent basis now than what we did before, the personal protective gear that we have to don more often than what we did before. That's it's been the largest impact to us, and as a result, more overtime for our folks because they're there longer. Sometimes it's a little, it takes longer to clean the truck up between runs and things like that. That's been our single largest change. Now, as far as services provided, we don't have an option but to provide the same services. That's what we do. 911 tones company 40 out, we roll.
Yep, that makes sense. I'll tell you that all of your organizations had a tough job before COVID came. Yeah, hats off to you for stepping up and meeting the extra demand and the extra overhead that comes with that. Let's talk a little bit about outcomes on either side of this fence. Now, I think Taylor County has historically done a great job of supporting your organizations with levies in our schools and those things. And I'm always pleased at our community in that regard. That said, I'd like you to explore a couple scenarios. What would happen if your levy didn't pass? And on the converse, what's the number one outcome voters can look to as it does pass over the next period of time? What outcomes could they look for if they do pass it? So Elise, let's start with you on that.
Okay, well, we currently use the levy, and we would continue to use the levy to fund the programs. We have to have certain matches for different programs, and we use that levy to match those funding. If we were to not have a levy, then in order to make that match, we would probably have to do away with some of the programs, or we would have to go out and do fundraising, which we have been noted to do fundraisings just to keep up with the demand of the current situation and the past situation. So yes, if we would have to definitely, we have tightened our belt, but we would have to definitely make it tighter.
Sure. So in that case, it's not necessarily a 1-to-1, it's a 1 to multiple because the match would go away if this levy isn't here. Yeah.
That is correct. Yes. Yes.
I can step up and say for the Taylor County Emergency Squad, we currently have 2 crews 24/7. So we've got 2 crews on duty all that time. If the levy passes, which we're really hopeful for, we'll continue to be able to provide services as good or better than we do now for the continuation. And what the levy helps us out with is it can be used various places. A new ambulance right now is about $155,000. We use it for payroll. We use it for supplies. A cot that goes on an ambulance is over $20,000 now. So you can see how, and we have 3 ambulances. That enables us to keep our equipment up, keep our people employed, keep the liability insurance paid, all those things. I can't say that there's just one facet that's covered totally by the levy, but it's used where it needs to be used the most at that point in time. Now, if for some reason that the levy didn't pass, I could see us reducing coverage as far as how many crews are on duty at any point in time by probably 40%. So instead of having 2 ambulances available 24/7, most days you would only have 1 ambulance available 24/7. And that would be a very large impact to Taylor County, because then the closest place that would be able to come in to cover us would be Harrison or Mon or Preston or Marion. And on the outlying areas, it might not be a larger response time much, but right here in the center of Taylor County, it would really reduce services.
For the health department, without the levy, just to say it succinctly, we would turn into that proverbial DMV type organization. We would only be able to respond and react to that which presented itself. Currently, we're staffed with 6 people, we have a state required staffing of 4. The 2 extra people that we have is an LPN and a threat prep response coordinator. And most folks know Sean Thorne, who holds that position, and he's been so engaged with the community. Levy provides those kinds of additional services for us. The standard load without additional support would reduce us down to a 4-member staff, an administrator, 1 nurse, and an environmental specialist and a clerk. So the levy money greatly enhances what we're able to do. And I'll just give you one real world example of how that helps in our community. I know it's a terrible thing that we have folks that are addicted to drugs, and we deal with that. It's a reality. None of us like it, but it is a reality. Occasionally there will be needles disposed of improperly, and they may be out somewhere in the public. What we try to do is we've trained and we've notified all the authorities in Taylor County that if should something like that be discovered, don't task the the EMS to go clean that up, because we need these guys to be ready to respond for emergencies. We will go clean up those things and keep folks like EMS ready to respond to other bigger emergencies. That's just one example of what the levy does for us that might not be there if the levy did not pass.
Makes sense. So, as is customary on this program, we always offer the organizations or those being interviewed to have the last word. And I want to plug a word in for the Taylor County Public Library, who wasn't able to join this. They provide a fantastic service to our community, and I guarantee you their demands have increased with COVID. You see lots of trends, with home gyms and those kind of things. One of those trends also is people participating in their public library, and it's a real asset to our community. So again, and none of these levies are going to add anything. They're continuation levies, each one of them, all 4. But with that said, I'll offer you all the last word. John, let's start with you on the emergency services.
Well, my last word, Alex, would be that I want to express our most sincere appreciation for the residents of Taylor County for their past and continued support of the levy for the EMS. And just to throw a number out there of what they are supporting, we average about 3,400 ambulance calls a year, which is quite a bit for a county our size. And we'd appreciate your support. We have appreciated your support, and we appreciate your support in the future. That's all.
Perfect. Elisa?
Okay, Taylor County Senior Center is out in your county daily, serving approximately 75 to 100 clients per day, per hours that the actual home, how do I want to put this? The actual in-home direct care worker will help them dress, bathe, groom, do the light meal preparations. We go out every single day into the community and we prepare meals to supply nutrition to our seniors. And if we were to not have this, some of that would have to end, and I would not want that to happen. We just want to continue what we're doing, helping our seniors, because they are the most important asset of Taylor County.
Perfect. Boyd?
Well, I don't think I could say it any better than John and Elise just said it. So I want to say to the people of Taylor County, thank you very much for your support, and even more so, your confidence in us. And I also want to take a minute to thank my partners, Elisa and John. We work together. We are a Taylor County team, and together, I think that we do a great service for the folks of Taylor County, and we really appreciate your support, Taylor County. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. So voters, you've got 4 levies up. You've got the library, the senior citizens, the health department, and the emergency squad hopefully this has been helpful to you. If you have any questions about what these organizations serve, easily, I'm sure they're happy to talk to you. Reach out to them. Again, if you want to know more about the actual levy and the tax details, certainly reach out down to the courthouse and try to find that information. I'm sure it's there. So anyway, I want to thank you all and all the organizations members that work, and the volunteers in the community. This is what makes a community, frankly. And so thank you all for what you do, and I appreciate you coming on the program, and good luck.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.